All right. So, welcome back, everybody. We are on chapter 5. But before we start, I just want to thank all our new subscribers. We got 334 as of today. What's the date today? September 21st. So, welcome aboard, new subscribers. And as always, welcome back to our faithful watchers and subscribers. Chapter 5. Let's see, what is the title of this? I don't have it open in front of me. We have Masterworks by Art Smith and Exercise in Faith. But before we go on any further, I want to address the elephant in the room. So towards the end of the chapter, or the last page of the chapter, JCB says, I can imagine a day in the not so distant future that when my many opinions may exist about where I've hidden the treasure. He goes on to say there may be online forums, chat rooms, or YouTube videos on the topic. If enough time goes by, countless ideas and speculations about our treasures might be cataloged. But then he goes on to say, if I were to offer any piece of advice on the topic, I'd say that instead of listening to the opinions of others, value your own, trust in what you know, have faith. This will make a difference. Now, the elephant in the room, our YouTube video. The way I look at it is, we share what we find when we go through the chapters and we put it out in a video for you. We do that as we're talking to friends because, when it boils down to it, you are our friends. You're watching our videos. So our finds aren't to be pushed upon you rather than to share with you. And you can do with it what you will. We're not saying that what we have is correct. We're just sharing with what we have. So just take it with that bit of advice from that. And I think, Laura, you have some other things to add to that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just love diving into this portion of it because, we don't sit here as some sort of authority feeling like, oh, we absolutely know we're right and no one else has it. I mean, that's not it at all. We kind of just think through it aloud with you guys, and we enjoy sharing those moments with you where, the details pop out and we can tell you what we're thinking about it. That's part of the joy for us, is knowing that we're sharing it with all of you. That being said, uh, we are all actually wanting to find treasure, right? That is part of it. And so, the question that I have for you guys is, if you found a clue that you thought was notably significant and potentially could lead to a specific location, would you share that online? Like, is there wisdom in sharing that online? I mean, I would say up until this very moment, every single thing that we've talked about, we haven't held back anything that we've talked about. But today we came upon a clue as we were digging through this chapter that just requires a bit more research. It was compelling. It's particularly interesting. I think interesting enough that we want to pause and go, okay, we're going to research this one a little bit further before we share it out. Potentially even requiring some boots on the ground before we share it out, but we'll see. We'll see. I love sharing with you guys, and so it may just pop out. But yeah, what would you do?
We don't want to undermine your inner convictions on things that you have, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people take their solves and their clues very personally, as they should. And we don't want to be just another outlet that says, hey, this is what it is, or this is what you should
be thinking. It's a lack of confidence that we say this, like we aren't, you know, it's kind of being boastful and, you know, beating our
Yeah.
chest saying that we have all the answers. We absolutely don't, but we did find an interesting clue.
And we enjoy sharing
All right.
things.
So I
Anyway,
love that JCB quote that you just read out at the beginning of this episode. You know, he says, trust in what you know. And I actually did take a note on that one. The note was trust in what you know. And then I added to be the truth. So, you know, verifying the truthfulness and accuracy of everything. You guys have seen me do that throughout the process of, you know, digging into the biographies in particular, but also, you know, the pieces, the art pieces that we're reviewing. That has all been really a bunch of fun for me. And yeah, I love that quote. Trust in what you know. So, as much as we have a lack of confidence, he's telling us to be confident, right?
yeah, yeah, because you never, having faith. I mean, this probably isn't. Well, here's my take on the chapter. Right, I didn't find much in the text as far as
Mm-hmm.
location clues or anything like that. Rather, I took this again as we're supposed to get something from these chapters. And every
Yeah.
chapter has a title, it also has a theme, right?
Yeah.
And I think the theme is just as important and relevant to finding this treasure as a specific clue, or it's a pretty loose
Yeah.
definition. What is a clue, right? And when we won't go deep into that philosophical rabbit hole, but you know these are the words he's giving you to take to help find this treasure. So if you think about it, there's a lot of times that you have to go on your faith, or however you define that. I personally take it as trusting in trusting things are going to work out, right? Because often we get in our situations that we're in life, and we don't know how we're going to make it through, or if we are, or should we, based on statistical odds of what your situation may be, and to be able to come out on the other side better than you thought requires some type of faith, right? Or else you just give up on everything and just throw your hands up and go crazy, whatever. So that could relate to this hunt, or looking through this book. There's countless times I've wanted to throw my book across the room, obviously when nobody is around, our beloved dog as well. But you just have to keep going at it and trusting in the things that you find. If you guys watch my midweek videos, this is a good example. When I first picked up this book, I said, "There's no way I'm going to figure out these small chapters. I've never done anything like this before." And as I forced myself to keep reading and rereading, and we're now in what, almost October. I had this book in late December, so we're going on a year of, I would say, just about every day I read this book,
A year
or
of
part of it.
obsession.
Yeah, it's becoming more of an borderline unhealthy obsession. Um, but when I read it, I think I would have to say within the last month and a half, I've gotten a better understanding of where I'm going with this and what these things are meaning. I'm finding things I didn't find before.
Yeah.
And that was because, you had faith in it. If you stuck with it long enough, things will start appearing, because all the stuff that you saw before that looked like a bunch of jumbled letters on the page, as it did for me, they start to come together and things start to pop out. And that's
Hey,
why I
that
think it's
takes
really
me
exciting.
to
What's that?
That takes me to one of the quotes at the opening of the chapter. The quote is, "Faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase." Martin Luther King Jr., one of my favorites, and that can, I think, align nicely with what you're saying about kind of your journey exploring the book. Like initially, you're like, I'm not going to solve this. This is so much. I'm not going to be able to find a box. But you took the first step in faith that, the journey would be worth it. Even when you don't see the whole staircase, right? You couldn't see how this would work out. And we still can't. Like, we have no idea how it's going to work out. We hope we find one of the boxes. But, I think that kind of trust and belief and hope, like, I think they all wind together when it comes to talking about faith, that it is, a combination of trust and belief and hope. But something else stood out to me about that quote. So faith is taking the first step, even when you don't see the whole staircase. And of course, I wanted to dig in and go, does the location have a staircase? Because we were out hiking just for fun a couple weeks ago at the Dunes. Indiana Dunes National Lake Shore, I think it's called. And the sand dune we were going to climb up was so steep that you couldn't climb it. So they put in some staircases. So we're out hiking in the woods up staircases. And so I think there are probably a number of places in the country where you could be hiking and find staircases. So yeah, does the location have a staircase? I don't know.
And there's 4 quotes in this chapter instead of just the 2 in the front.
Why are there 4?
There are some that maybe I think there's another one that has 1 extra in the chapter, making it 3, and there's some that only have 1 in the opening, but this one has 4. So that's something to.
Yeah, I mean, the topic of faith has a lot of great quotes. So, I mean, I get it. The MLK one.
Yeah, but there's some other.
Bergson, who was like a philosopher. He wrote a lot about time, which I thought was interesting. I was doing a little research on him. French philosopher, famous for time theories. And then the Thomas Aquinas one. And then wasn't the other one actually was the artist himself, Art Smith?
Yes. That was on page, at least on the ebook, because this is what I have open in front of me, a 60, as a piece of jewelry is in a sense an object that is not complete until you relate it to the body. Like line, form, and color, the body is a material to work with. It is one of the basic inspirations in creating form, which on the adjacent page has that mysterious picture of dancers with different pieces of jewelry on. Yeah. And this quote is directly, I would think it has to be directly towards that, that picture. There's a lot to unpack in that picture, and I'll put that up on the video. And I was going to punt this picture to my art, all-knowing wife here. What do you see in this picture?
Yeah. I'm going to think out loud on it for a few minutes. First of all, we don't know who drew it. So I think right now we're going to assume that Jon drew it, because it's not attributed.
Yeah.
I did Google search the image and it didn't, of course you get direct hits for all the people who are also looking for the box and have uploaded the picture somewhere. But then looking at like similar images, I found a couple that were notable and several of them relating to jazz music. So I think that this is a style that can align, that we see align sometimes with jazz music, which is apropos for this, for Art's story. So it does have a sense of that movement. And also, he talked about kind of African influences on his art, ancient Egypt, tribal Africa, surrealism, Alexander Calder. So I definitely see that in here too with the lines. For those of you who know Alexander Calder, he built these incredible like mobiles. They were suspended in the air, and they would just kind of twist and turn in the air in this balanced way that you can't even fathom how it actually balanced. And they're quite moving, quite striking. So I thought that that was interesting that he was kind of influenced by Calder. Calder also sculpted other things, but he's primarily known for his mobiles. But yeah, when I look at this image, it's lovely because it captures the movement of the dance that they're engaged in. And you do see, the jewelry kind of situated on the figures. I don't think everyone has a piece on. I think that's all lovely. Do I think that there are clues in the figures, in the jewelry, in the dancing motions, in the movement? I don't, but I do think there are clues in the picture.
Yeah, it looks like there's letters in the. I'll have to work on this with maybe trace paper and see what I can come up with.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear what everybody else thinks about the letters that seem to me very clear to pop out at the bottom of the image. I personally see the word time first, T-I-M-E, or Tim's, T-I-M-S, but I think time is more likely. And then I see the number 4 and the letter A. So time 4A. And then I have zero idea, and I've been playing around with it, and I cannot figure out what those last couple of letters are, because they're some stacked, it feels like to me, that I think they're all involved. So in the upper part of that last section, I see an N and a C. And in the lower portion, I see WFD. So NCWFD, which means absolutely nothing to me. And I have not come up with anything that could work for. So I'm thinking it must be something else that I'm not seeing there. But I feel kind of solid on time 4A.
Yeah, and there's also, my mind's already jumbled up from trying to interpret things in part 2, and to shift gears and start looking at this has really been a challenge. And it goes back to my poll I had, whether or not we should do some of the Beyond the Map's Edge. It's like
that's why you cannot. We already have
imagine. I could not imagine juggling two treasure hunts if I can't even juggle part 1 and part 2. Well, I can, but it's a challenge of itself. So let us know. I mean, there's so many things to unpack in this picture, and I don't want to get down too deep a rabbit hole with everybody and start,
do you know what? Something just came to my mind.
What's that?
So do you remember that I was just talking about the French philosopher, Henri, what was his name? Let's scroll up. Henri Bergson, Bergson. He was famous for his what theories? Do you remember what I said? Theories on time.
Time, yeah.
On time. And then I look at this picture, and I think the first word is time. That's interesting.
Perhaps.
I don't know. That's super interesting. I just caught that.
Yeah.
Huh.
See, you heard it here first.
Yes.
In real time.
So I think I would love to read Henri's time theories and learn a little bit more about that. I don't know that it has relevance to the treasure, but I think it's interesting. I just read like a couple of sentences, so I won't be able to do it justice, but something about like there is a scientific method of measuring time, right? You've got these kind of, you have seconds, you have minutes, we've divided them into measurable, quantifiable segments, let's say. But as humans, we experience time differently than that. That it's more of an ebb and a flow, or more of a, less solid and predictable and, measurable, we experience it in a different way than that.
It's more
And
relative. It's more
yeah, more
relative.
relative to our experience. Yeah.
Hence relativity.
Yes, indeed. And we were kind of talking about that the other, when was that?
We're talking about the arrow of time. Sean Carroll did and I highly recommend it if you can find it. He did a small little series on I don't know. You probably find it on YouTube. He did the arrow of time. It's really, I really highly recommend it. It's very, I would say I understand it, but I don't understand it to the point where I can explain it. But after my 10th time watching it, I started to understand a little bit what he is saying.
Yeah.
And also on the theme of time, Stephen Hawking's Brief History in Time. It's a great book too. So
yes. I just find time to be something that's on my mind a little bit more lately. Hey, I love time travel, like movies, themed movies and shows and stuff. So if you guys know any good time travel themed movies or shows we should watch, pop them in the comments. I want to know because I love those.
what was the show we saw? Time Travel or Travelers?
Oh, The Travelers. Yeah, that was a good one. We liked that series. And then we just finished that one about JFK, 11/22/63.
Yeah, it had gosh, I can't think of the guy's name on it now. He played in Spider-Man. Or yeah. I forgot his name.
And that was awesome. But what is freaking me out the most about time, and I know this is a side jump, but I'm just feeling chatty today, is like this has happened to me twice recently, where once talking to like colleagues, and the other time I'm going to physical therapy and talking to the physical therapist. And they very much seem like just like my peers, particularly my colleagues. They feel like my peers, right? We're all kind of in the same place, and all of that. And then through conversation, I come to find out that I am literally old enough to be their parents. Like literally old enough. Like that just blows my mind, like so crazy. I was talking to this physical therapist. He's losing his hair. I hope he doesn't watch our losing his hair. He has gray. I kind of thought like he was not far off from my age.
Yeah.
And he was born when I was in high school.
Yeah.
That's jacked.
We're getting old.
Like time is so crazy. And then they try to reassure me at PT that, oh, you don't act that old though. Thanks.
James Franco was the name of the actor in the series. It was based on Stephen King a novel or story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I feel.
But I digress.
Well. Yeah.
Should we reel it back into the image? Oh, and time. I'm like, well, how did we get here? The word time was both associated with the French philosopher that has one of the quotes at the beginning of the book. I don't even know what the quote was, so we'll have to take a look at that real quick. Some other faculty than intellect is necessary for the apprehension of reality. Oh, yeah, and he's tying that to faith. Yeah, got that. So, but time being one of his principal things that he studied and wrote about, and time being a word that stands out to me in this image that we're trying to decode.
Yeah. And if you take the word time and anagram it, it's might, M-I-T-E.
Oh, so there may be mites like bugs.
There might be mites.
The other picture that this image reminded me of in terms of the dancing figures, like not really literally, but a little bit, was Henri Matisse, who was a French post-impressionist probably, has some blue figures that are dancing, that are kind of holding hands and going around in a circle. So it a little bit reminded me of that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack on that picture, and we want to hear what you guys think. Now, we are coming up to time. Speaking of time, coming up to time. And
speaking of time.
Don't turn it off yet, because I have some important news for you. On Wednesday, I normally put out a midweek video. This week, I don't, because I'm working on something big for everybody, which will be dropped on Friday. And that's all I'm saying about it. So if you are the lucky ones that stood around to the end and watched this part, because I'm not going to post this on Discord, I'm not going to talk about it anywhere else. But if you stuck around to the end, you'll know Friday at some point in time. That's why you have to hit that little bell, gently push it, so you know when the video drops. It's a big surprise. So you heard it here.
We're excited about it. It's going to be good.
You heard it here first, and you can keep it to yourself, or you can, not keep it to yourself, but it's going to be big. So there won't be a video dropping Wednesday, but there will be a big video dropping Friday. So
yeah,
yes.
Awesome.
So, that being said, anything else, Laura, you have?
No, I think I'm good. I think we're going to be ready for the next chapter next week.
Yeah. So, sorry for some of the rambling, but that's what we do sometimes on this show. It's great. And we enjoy that you guys come along for the ride. So enjoy your week, and don't forget Friday. Make sure you watch. If you stood around this long, you hear me rambling to the end, I'm going to drop it first thing in the morning. So by the time you guys wake up, it'll be out there. So Friday morning, I'd say 4 a.m., 5 a.m. We get up at 4. So yeah, somewhere around then. All right. With that, have a great week. Stay safe, and we will see you soon.
Bye, everyone.